This is what I believe is going to be an extraordinary evening for all of us. With what happened outside, you know, this ceremony of roses, let me, Imtiaz, share a little amazing fact about Punjabi culture with you, which might interest you and the rest of our audience here. In the 17th century, there was a tradition of young girls. As soon as they could sort of walk around, they were encouraged by their mother to collect threads, you know, thread from the street, thread from your dress, thread from the blanket. And as they grew, they kept on collecting these threads. When they were married, they still kept on collecting threads. The thread might be from the sari of the wedding, it might be from, you know, a piece of jewelry, the necklace thread. And then later in life, when their daughter was getting married, all these threads were woven together by the mother to make a shawl for her daughter. So she gave her daughter her whole life, you know, as her wedding present. The father gave the dowry, but the mother gave her the beauty and colors, these magnificent, multicolored colors. And with Chamkila, Imtiaz, I believe you've done the same. You've given us a shawl, not only to us individually, but to Punjabi culture. Thank you very much. So if I...
It's wonderful to have all of you be here, and it's Catherine's birthday. Could she get up and show herself so that we can all wish her? Alright, we just have a lovely lunch, and great to be talking to you, sir, Mr. Anup Singh. Harpreet, could you stand up and show yourself? He's the impassioned gentleman that brought the rights of Chamkila for me to make. It's not as though Chamkila lived an easy life to be made a film of. So to even manage the permissions was difficult. But the reason for me to make the film was really, I was very fascinated with the kind of duplicity of Punjab. The fact that, you know, as I often say, that all Indian love stories are basically Punjabi love stories. Soni Mahibal, Heer Ranjha, Sasi Punnu, Mirza Sahiba. Punjab is dotted with the presence of many great spiritual lives like Baba Bulle Shah, Waris Shah, so many others, the 10 gurus. So much spirituality has happened, so much. And even in Bombay, when you're driving around and you put the radio on, if there are 10 channels that are playing songs, you'd find 5 or 6 Punjabi songs playing, which people in Bombay are listening to and enjoying without knowing the language. There is that much fervor and there is that much color in the pulkari, so to speak. It's so exuberant, everybody celebrates Punjab. But also, ever since, from the time of Alexander, there has been bloodshed, violence, again and again, repeatedly. It's just not stopping. And unfortunately, in a few decades, there is something that tramples upon the head of Punjab. But I was very fascinated that all of that violence, all of that repression and depression does not stamp away, or as they say in America, stomp out the exuberance of Punjab. In fact, Punjab keeps being celebrated and it is colorful, it remains Chamkila. And I was very fascinated by this. I was trying to understand it as well. And then I got to know the story of Chamkila. I knew the story of Chamkila before I met Harpreet. And in Chamkila's life also was the same irony. The fact that there was so much celebration and yet so much tragedy. And I was wondering whether one promoted the other. Was it a symbiotic relationship between those two things? So I felt that Chamkila was a case in point for Punjab itself, and that's what led me to make the film.
Did that surprise you?
And Diljit took me to the side, he took me to confidence, and you won't believe what he said. Maybe I'm divulging some secret from a personal meeting, but he took me to the side and he said, देखो बाजी मैं एक्टर तो हूँ नहीं, मैं तो सिंगर हूँ. तो आप जैसा बोलोगे वो मैं सारा कर दूंगा. I'll do as you say, but I can feel something and do it quickly. I'll give my best. But if I have to do the takes again and again, I have noticed that in my performance, my acting wears off, my emotion wears off. Because I'm not an actor, and he is, I feel, one of the best actors we have in the country. So that actually alerted me. I felt, how am I going to work? Because with him, he's taken me into confidence. But what's the solution to this? Because sometimes you have multiple takes, and sometimes in multiple takes the director understands which way to go. People get their energies together. It might not happen in the first day. But what that did is that it put me on the front foot. And I was watching him and I was watching everything else, because there were a lot of actors who had not acted before in Chamkila. So when they were all together, we would brief, and he's on the front foot. So I think everything went on the front foot for Chamkila. We did things very quickly, and in that quickness, I think the flow was better. And I can see that in the film as well. And the film is not over-covered. Almost everything that has been shot is in the film. So Diljit gave a certain vitality to the proceedings of the film. The other thing that he brought is immense sincerity. Because acting is not pretending. Acting, I feel, is the process of doing something. To act upon is the means to do something. So it's not as though there was anything in the film that he faked, that he said without meaning or did without interest. There was an earnestness in the film as well. And of course, now that I saw the film yesterday with the audience, and then if I had to choose any other actor in his place, I feel that I would have failed. In fact, I now feel that if Diljit wasn't there, I would never have been able to make this film. In Chamkila, all the singing is recorded live. So when Chamkila and Amarjot are on stage and they are singing, or if they are recording in the recording studio, just like voice is recorded live and that's the voice you hear, the dialogue in the film, the singing is also the same. It's what was recorded on location. There was not even much manipulation to it post the recording. So to do that, one needed to be not only a good singer but also a live performer, because with a certain audience the performance changes, and so she had to practice a lot. She is actually much more trained as a singer than Diljit originally is, but the fact is that Diljit is a professional performer, as the whole world knows now. And so he's very, जिसको कहते हैं कि तैयारी बहुत है उसकी. He's very ready, he's very stage ready. He also had to train for the dialect that Chamkila had to sing in, that Chamkila used to sing in. And Pariniti was trained a lot more with the dialect. But all of that training really helped, I think, because when I see now a Pariniti on stage performing, she feels really close to how Amarjot was. And on YouTube, there are many videos of Chamkila and Amarjot that we were seeing, and we were trying to emulate those scenes. So I think Pariniti looks more like Amarjot actually than Diljit looks like Chamkila. But because Diljit is from the same parts of the world as Chamkila is, and he knows the life that Chamkila has lived, perhaps it is easier for him to look authentic as Chamkila. And when I'm writing the last few drafts, sometimes even the early drafts, you can't really say, the visuals are in my mind. And those visuals, if I think about it, it can be broken down into shots, into camera movements, and which I record in my mind simultaneously as I'm writing. So pretty much when my screenplay is over, the shot breakdown is over in my mind. However, when I approach the set, when I do the recce, I think the location scout is an important time for me to formulate and finalize the shots that I'm going to take, and that's the time that I start talking to the DP and start to tell him that this is how I'm planning it. And in 95% of the cases, it's not the shot breakdown that I had earlier in mind. It changes completely. I can see the knowing smile that you have on your face. I think most directors suffer from this. It changes completely. And then when we come to shoot, there is again a 50-70% change in the shot breakdown. So I feel that the decision of the shots to be taken, the lenses to be used, etc., it is very fluid, and at no point of time is it decided. Because sometimes, even after taking 2 or 3 shots, you might think of a different angle which might just completely change the edit. But you might do it because the actor is naturally doing something that you did not expect him to do or her to do, and it's looking great for the shot. It's looking great for the scene. So sometimes when I was younger, honestly, I was a bit insecure about how am I going to finish the shot breakdown. I didn't know, I'm not trained in filmmaking. So I used to force the actor, I had to convince him, saying anything that came to my mind, why I wanted him or her to sit and not stand. But the honest truth was that if he stood, because he felt like, and it was natural, I wouldn't know how to cover it in the breakdown. For people that might not know, a shot break, every scene has different shots, right? Do we follow this? Yes. There are many shots, and those shots, what kind of shots they are going to be is something that the director decides based on the action that is going to happen. So the shots will cover the action, and that will be put together in a scene. So I used to try to tell the actor to follow me, but then I realized that it's much better and more truthful and more effective if I can follow the action and is natural for that moment. So it's an evolving process, I think. In Chamkila, what turned out to happen is that we didn't cover too much. I tried to formulate shots which had the basic movement to cover what was the important movement in that scene.
No, I saw the curves of your camera.
Okay, yeah. So that was interesting because it was almost like playing in theater. Like we used to perform on stage, and the action would happen one time. Only the stage in this case could be a different angle or a particular point of view. That's the starting point. And I tried to work the action within that geography to a certain camera movement. If the same thing has to happen for the second time, my interest also wears off. So in some sort of a way, I'm like Diljit. I don't want any action to repeat itself because I have to also be on that emotion. with the actor at that point of time. So I feel I don't want to do that. So if this has happened well, then just let's go ahead, go to this side or that side. Let's not go back there and recreate that moment, because if it is a great moment, how can it even happen again? You know, it can, or if we try to imitate that moment, then it will be fake. It will not be truthful. Like, you can't expect what was going to happen. So, yeah, that's what works for me. Yeah, when you were saying that there's a pattern in my films that there is a yearning and there is purification to reach a higher plane, etc. I felt that maybe that is happening in my life. I hope that that is happening in the lives of all filmmakers, because there is that much purification that is needed to make a good film, I feel. And I feel, as far as Rahman sir is concerned, I'm very blessed that he brings me into his work, or he comes into my work. And you know, the first time I met him was for Rockstar. And all of us, like, I was a Rahman fan. We used to listen to his songs when Roja came out, and we were so fascinated by this person. I could never think that one day I'll be in front of him and I'll be pitching my film to him. So I met him for Rockstar. And so the producers had said that we'll set you in front of him and it's up to you. And whether he's going to say yes or no, we don't know. He's a very vague man. Nobody can understand or decipher what he's thinking, what he's going through. He himself, we feel, doesn't really understand what is going through in his own mind. There is no way to, you know, like, wrestle with him, but still try to get a yes. So with these instructions, I was set in front of Rahman, and I started telling him the story. That, you know, in the beginning there is a black screen, and then there is this voice comes, and then blah blah blah, and he's sitting over there and saying, okay. And I felt this is getting a little boring, you know, because I couldn't feel the flow at all. And then I stopped the narration, and then I said, okay, you know, right in the beginning of the film, before the first visual, there is this saying. It is either going to be said, spoken on the blank screen, or somebody will sing it. Maybe it's in a singing voice, but it will say, Kaga sabtan khaiyo, chum chum khaiyo mas, do naina mat khaiyo, piya milan kiyas. Now, Rahman does not know Hindi, and this is not even Hindi. But he understood that this is something valuable. That is how I got him, I think. He said, what does it mean? I said, you know, this person that is dying or is dead is saying to the bird of prey that eats the flesh, it's saying to the bird, eat my entire body, don't leave any morsel of flesh on my bones. But don't eat my eyes, please, because I'm still waiting for my beloved. This round of applause actually belongs to Baba Farid. Who was also from Punjab. Pakpatan is his place. And so he wrote this, and just a line like this becomes the inspiration for so much work, so much creativity. And it really pushes, even after making this film, even after 14 years and re-release of this film, even when I say this line to you, I get goose flesh. It still inspires me to do more and more. It's like almost saying, what the hell are you guys doing in your lives, man? Get up and do something. That's the kind of power. Anyhow, so Rahman sir could not understand what it meant, but there was some rhythm, there was some music in it, as is in the words of great people, that got him. And at that point I knew that this man is going to do this film. And the good thing about Rahman is that he really lets you come into the work. And sometimes I feel that how am I going to say no to anything that he offers, you know? So he said, no, but then if you do that, then I'm not getting any help. You're a director, no? You have to say, but you have to do your work for me to do my work. So I said, yeah, but I don't know that much about music, you know? So he said, no problem, I know about music. You know about your film. So you just tell me, you don't have to tell me about music. You tell me about your story. So then we'll handle. But he lets me in. He always insisted that I should choose everything. He always insisted even that I sometimes edit his improvisations and cut them into size for the song. And I'm not a music person. But from the point of the story, etc., I could come and do this. So I feel very included in the process with him. As a result, what he manages to do is that the music is very close to the film. Whether it is background or the songs, I feel that every note of his music is a part of that particular film. I can identify any note of Rockstar being so different from that of Tamasha or Chamkila or Highway. So I think when you work with such a person, your work looks better. Believe me, if you saw Chamkila yesterday, if I take out Rahman's music, it would not be the same film, not even close. In my movies is Irshad Kamil, who is from Malerkotla, Punjab. Yeah, I'm surrounded by these guys from all sides. So Irshad is the big Punjab element in the lyrics, of course, because he's from Malerkotla, he's Punjabi speaking, and he and I share this common passion of poetry. Poetry is very dear to me personally. I feel that if there's nothing else, there's poetry. There's a line in my mind which can entertain me through the day or sometimes the whole week. Irshad is also such a person. So when we met each other in Bombay for the first film I ever did, incidentally every film that I have done, these 9 films, and also the film that I wrote and did not direct, which is Cocktail, and even Ahista Ahista, and even Laila Majnun, all the lyric work has been done only by Irshad Kamil. So, stayed for a long time. He stayed for a long time. He's still here in a way, and he read from his diary the poems that he had written. And after that, we had this kind of relationship that if I heard a good poem or a good line from any poem, I would call him and say, you know, Irshad, this is what I heard. Tune suna hai? Ye falane ka hai. And he would do the same. So we have that in common. So now when we approach songs, when we started to approach songs, it was almost like Irshad wrote this and he brought this, and I'm like, it's good, it's nice, but I don't think Sahir Ludhianvi would have written this. So you decide, if you're not as good, then I'll take it. It's good enough for me. Let me try it again. And then also I feel that I have become important for his purification process, which is actually a process that he enjoys also. I think both of us purify each other in the way that he always gives something and then takes it back, even if I approve it, because it's not about that, it's about an opportunity of reaching somewhere. And Irshad and Rahman, or Irshad, Preetham and me, whichever setup we work in, with Rahman sir, usually we try to come with some sort of a poetic phrase, so that, and then Rahman sir starts to, like, Sada Haq Aithe Rakh. This is actually a Punjabi slogan of protest back in the time that socialism was rising in India. The place it rose in for the first time was Punjab. So Sada Rakh Aithe Rakh is the slogan from that time. So Irshad presented it, And then Rahman starts to make the tune around it. The rest of the words that he said, that you hear, the rest of the tune is composed on gibberish. Like anything that comes into the mouth, or if it is playing an instrument, then just improvising on the instrument. But Sada Kethirak is already a part of it. So Mainu Bida Karo was already given to him. Then he composes with that, and then Irshad, then I take the rest of the tune, and then the words come in to fit to fill. So that's the process, and I feel that Irshad has brought so much value into my own work, because it just, also I start to think of the songs and music while writing the screenplay. So mostly the songs are written into the screenplay. Watching Hindi films, I can't even help it. You know, sometimes I feel that, oh, यहाँ पे गाना आना चाहिए. Because if I was in the audience, I'd want a song like this over here. And songs help you communicate things that are not usually said in words in a scene or in life, but are more important. So, I don't know what the question was, but this was my answer. In characters, acting is always good. In all these great filmmakers, their work, in any language, acting is always very authentic, I felt. There's never a note wrong. I like David Lean's films a lot. You know, for people that have seen, why am I blanking out? Bridge on the River Kwai, or Dr. Zhivago, and Lawrence of Arabia. There's never a note wrong as far as acting is concerned. But I must also say that I love song and dance in cinema. I really admire the films that, let's say, Govinda made, that David Dhawan made with Govinda. I enjoy, I understand that art form. I would love to make it, but I can't. It doesn't come to me. So I'm an audience for all kinds of films. I love many films that, you know, like Bansali makes, but I can't make them. But I love song and dance on screen, and there is the biggest fun, the best thing for me as a film director is to shoot music on set. When music plays on set loudly and the whole unit is in that sur, and then you set the trolley and you tell the actors what to do and you push the trolley, whether there is dance or not. That is really the most fun that I have on set. About myself, but it's very easy to work with good actors, as you must have also known, because they are also always so willing to try to get further in the performance. And each actor is different. I feel that there is this term in Jamshedpur that अच्छा पान वाला ग्राहक देख के पुड़िया बनता है. So also I feel that actors are that grahak, and then you can't have the same kind of brief for every actor. They deserve different treatments. And I've been very lucky to have worked with wonderful actors, some of them more celebrated and known than the others. But I feel that I was very lucky to work with Ranbir or Rockstar and Tamasha, and and I was very lucky to work with Alia or Highway. When, you know, people give me a lot of credit for the fact that Alia did so well in Highway, and before that she had not really shown her class as an actor because she'd not done a film like that. But I also feel that it obviously was in her to be that good. And I was lucky that it was my film where she actually got to perform it, so that Highway actually gained from that. So I was really amazed at how she was performing and how emotionally connected she was to performance. And there was a certain almost maturity in that little girl that acted in Highway. So but you have to speak to her in a certain way for her to respond in the way that she best does. Ranbir is a different animal. But it's just that what's paramount about Ranbir is that he is just so interested in this damn work. I feel there is nothing else that interests him in life as much, or even close to film work, anything to do with filming actually. He's just so damn interested that I'd give him a script, and every second day on set he would ask me certain very specific questions which have nothing to do with his part. And I ask him why he's asking these questions suddenly today, and he'd say that, no sir, yesterday when we packed up at 2 o'clock, I read the whole script again before going to sleep. So he's just so damn available, so interested. He would like to come to the music sittings also. The producers of Rockstar would wonder why the actor is coming on each day of film production. You know, the whole year, every day Ranbir would also land up, a part of the, you know, a direction team or something. So I think that helps. But then obviously when you go to the moment of performance, you don't carry baggage. You have to forget everything and be available to just take the simple instruction that comes and just do it. So to do that work and leave it and be fresh for the moment is the most important thing that actors do, and Ranbir does it very well. Kareena, on the other hand, is like, I have to be very careful of what I'm saying to her, because if I said anything wrong, she would do it. There'd be no process. It's a very like action-reaction. I tell her do this, then she'd do it. So with so much force that I had to kind of like think in my mind what I'm going to say and how she's going to behave, because there is logic would not hold her back. You know, if I'd say that you know, you are very sad to see this, and that's why you come onto the stage and get on top of this table and start dancing, she'd do it. So I had to be careful. So every actor has their own way. And so therefore with Kareena, I tried to speak the minimum number of words. No, but you understand what I mean. And I guarantee you this is a wonderful instruction for all people. It's a great instruction for everybody, for all directors. Try to use fewer words. You'd find your communication to actors or people better. So Kareena is a good one to practice that with. And there are, like, I've been very lucky to work with these wonderful actors. Deepika, wonderful, you know, you can just like, I feel so comfortable when she's on set. You can just like, she's so easy, the easiest to work with. She's the girl that gets ready the fastest, much before any co-actor. She does everything, and so on a default shot, she takes no time at all to get ready. So that's really amazing. And you know, one thing I'd like to say to all people present over here, how hard girls work in the Indian film industry, nobody in the country does. I'm talking about the so-called heroines, the glamour girls of the Hindi film industry. They have to get to the set many hours before anybody else so that they could start doing their look work, costumes. They wear the most uncomfortable shoes. Sometimes they wear very little clothes in very cold weather, as is popular. Get that much of sleep, which they usually don't get before they show up again on set. So they are the ones that work the hardest in the film industry. I'd say about technique. There's a lot of learning for technique in theatre and filmmaking. Okay, first of all, how many people present here aspire to make films? I think that includes the both of us, Anu. That's quite a few. Again, can I see a show of hands again, please? That's quite a few. Okay. So hopefully, make sure that this conversation helps you. Okay. Just steer us in the right direction. We are here for this conversation to be useful to you. But technique keeps changing, and there is no end to how much you need to learn in order to say that I know the technique of filmmaking or the technique of acting even. But all of the technique and all of the learning means nothing if you don't have something to say. You need the desire to tell a story, to make some film. And in that process, you are going to use technique. In the learning of technique, you will not learn how to make films. You will learn how to make films by your human interaction, by being available to your human interactions, to travel, do anything that, the great thing about filmmaking is do anything that interests you, you're still working on filmmaking. And for making a certain film, learn the technique, not the other way around. So film school will not give you the stories. Film school will just give you the technical ability to make films. That's the important, this one thing that I wanted to say. The second thing is, for filmmakers, if you could do theatre, I feel it will always help. Because finally we are telling stories through people. I feel that the most important part of the work that I do as a filmmaker is people work. Talk to people, instruct them about what to do. And because there is no point of time where I myself can come in and do anything. It'll always, everything that I'm doing has to be through people. Mostly actors, but also cinematographers and the rest of the unit. So acting work, you get a lot of value time when you do theatre. So for instance, if you're doing a theatre rehearsal, if you spend 5 hours in the rehearsal, 4 hours or 3 hours will actually be acting. And the same goes for actors. If you do theatre, it will actually be acting. But if you do, let's say, a show in a film, there'll be very little acting work. Maybe 1 hour, maybe half an hour. You know? So theatre gives you more exposure to acting, to performance, and that really helps, no matter what part of filmmaking you want to involve yourself with, I feel. Of course, watch films, but don't hope to gain any know-how from it. That's very artificial then. It's like, you know, our friend Pashi used to say, Prashant, that if you want to write a novel, just read another novel just before it and take your story and write it like that. So that's not original, that's not authentic, that will fall by the wayside, like most things that Pashi said. But I feel that don't try to learn from films, but watch a lot of films. Don't try to dissect a film while watching it either, just get entertained by it, because as I'm saying that, you know, you might be interested in watching different things from the ones that you end up making. Like I'd hate to watch love stories, but I have the allegation of always making love stories. So I'm just giving free advice. This reminds me of a scene of Jab We Met. Do you guys remember which scene I'm talking about? क्या कहा था उसने? चिल्लड़ नहीं है. Excuse me, आप जो ये सब कह रहे हैं, इसके आप पैसे लेते हैं या ये मुफ्त का ज्ञान है? Yeah. Do all of you follow Hindi? Yes. Mostly. Okay. Alright, so I'm waiting for you guys to also ask questions so I can have specific answers for you. But growing up, I used to have this insecurity that most great people have gone through a lot of tragedy in their lives. And since I had a very normal, very healthy childhood, I thought maybe I'll not be a great guy at all. I'll not make it in anything. And this insecurity remained within me for a while. And then if you see, there's a certain voiceover in Rockstar which says this. And then I used to wonder that, you know, if I go and deliberately try to get my heart broken, if I walk into a tragic situation, if I quote tragedy, will I become great? Will I become successful? So these thoughts were childish. Then I grew up. But a person like Jordan never grows up. And so he really persisted with that thought. And so I think that was the inspiration, this feeling that I think a lot of young people have, that unless there is a tragedy in my life, I'll not be anything worth writing home about. Improvisation of the script. So अगर आपको लाइनें दी गई हैं बोलने के लिए ना, तो एक्टर की इम्प्रोवाइजेशन ये नहीं होती कि लाइनें चेंज कर दो, आपको उसी लाइन में रहना पड़ेगा, बोलना वही होगा। इंस्ट्रक्शंस जो आपको दिए जा रहे हैं, जो स्क्रिप्ट में लिखे हैं, या जो डायरेक्टर आपको कह रहा है, विद इन दैट ऑल्सो देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ स्कोप ऑफ द वर्क टू कम इन ऑफ एक्टिंग. सो it is true that a director has a certain conception and an actor, while see kya hota hai na, let me try to explain this. Firstly, I feel actors should not take the responsibility of changing lines. That is not their work. Okay. Secondly, no matter how well any director conceives a scene, when an actor in flesh and blood stands in front of him and starts to perform, that is when it becomes real. Then an actor can do it in various ways, in different ways, and the director, me as a director, I'm open 100% to any improvisation that might come, which does not alter at all. So if it were written in a different way, if it was made in a different way, maybe not so linear, it would have been a better film.
Okay, over here on the last.
Rockstar and Tamasha. I think there was a 4-year gap or something in between these two films. In those 4 years, how had Ranveer changed as an artist? I don't think he had changed at all. I think he remained the same type of artist. I don't think he acquired or took upon himself the baggage of learning. You know, the unlearning also happens because essentially each role that an actor does is so different. And what experience can teach you can also be a double-edged sword, you know. There might be a feeling of staleness if you already know what you've got to do. So I think but the roles that he did, that of Rockstar and that of Tamasha, were very different. And I feel that Ranveer will never get the credit that he deserves for Tamasha. He will get the credit for Rockstar. It's easier because the character is such. But the highly sophisticated performance of Tamasha will never get as much appreciation as it deserves. It's a very, very, very difficult part to do. Essentially, it's the only film that I've done where each take of a scene, of a shot, could be in a completely different direction. We were just leaving it as pure as life is, where you don't know which way anything is going to go. Every performance, every shot was a different performance, which was truthful to that moment. So the role was very different and he was prepared to do it. Perhaps he even understood that he should be acting like that because he had done Rockstar and many other films. I admit to that. Maybe that is what gave him the courage. He knew that the appreciation for his performance will not be as much in Tamasha. Of course, he does get appreciation. He's a great actor. Everybody praises his work. But in Tamasha, there is much more beauty than actually is appreciable.
Okay, one here please. You're right.
और मुझे उसमें आपको एक चीज़ बतानी थी कि मैं अगर आज फिल्म मेकिंग को लेके इतना ज़्यादा पैशनेट हूँ या कुछ भी हूँ, वो सिर्फ रॉकस्टार की वजह से है. दैट काउंट इज जब मैंने 2011 में देखनी शुरू करी थी, अब तक उसका काउंट 141 हो चुका है. जितनी बारी मैंने रॉकस्टार देखी और हर बारी वही सेम गूज़बम्प्स हैं, हर बार वही सेम एक नई चीज़ मेरे को देखने को मिल रही है. एंड जो एक रिसेंट प्रोजेक्ट है जिसमें मैंने अपनी सारी चीज़ें सब लगा दिया था पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन में फिलहाल हूँ, वो प्रोजेक्ट भी सिर्फ और सिर्फ रॉकस्टार देख के ही जो इंस्पिरेशन मिलती है कि मैं कुछ करूँ लाइफ में. क्योंकि थैंक यू सो मच, आपकी वजह से मैं कहीं सलाह दी कि मेरा फेवरेट एक्टर कौन है. आपकी वजह से मुझे रणबीर कपूर मिला, इसको मैं बहुत ज़्यादा मैं करता हूँ. रणबीर कपूर की वजह से
मगर मेरा एक सवाल है तुमसे कि ऐसी क्या खास बात है रॉकस्टार में जिसकी वजह से यू आर सो अटैच्ड टू और इट इंस्पायर्स यू सो मच.
मैं एक बार यहाँ देखूँ और फिगर आउट करूँ. पर दुनिया के अंदर कोई मास्टरपीस है, किसी को
और क्या ऐसी क्या बात है जिसने तुम्हें अटैच किया. मतलब मैं तारीफ नहीं सुनना चाहता, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि कोई एक चीज होती है किसी कहानी में जो पकड़ लेती है. वो क्या चीज थी रॉकस्टार में?
क्या पता कहीं ना कहीं उस चीज को मैं भी जिया हुआ हूँ या उसको देखने के बाद शायद जीने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. वो एक आर्ट है, जो मैंने आर्ट को फॉलो कर रहा था, आर्ट को फॉलो करते करते किस तरह वो प्यार से होते हुए वो जो एक डायलॉग है खटारा भाई का, खटारा भाई को कि मुझे ये सब कुछ नहीं चाहिए, और वो जो कनेक्ट हो रहे मूवी के स्टार्टिंग वाले पार्ट से कि मुझे बड़ा बनना है, और वो पूरी जर्नी थी इसकी.
But you don't know why you connect to that. It's not as though your life is like that, right?
Maybe that's the beauty. मुझे नहीं पता उससे क्यों कनेक्टेड हूँ.
ऐसा बहुत होता है. जैसे कि साठा कहते रहे, हम लोग सारे इतने पैशनेट हो रहे थे कि हम दुनिया बदल देंगे, और like it's almost as though then we realized that yeah, we have not really been aggrieved in these ways. You know, where does this pure passion come from? And the beauty of it is that not all passion of your life comes from your own life experiences somehow. You know, most people who have been very strong anti-establishment voices might not have suffered in the same way as they were seeing other people suffer and trying to save them. But I understand what you mean by saying that. I don't like it's not a part of your life, but you're still passionate about it. That मेरा दिल नहीं टूटना.
आप उसको इतनी खूबसूरती से सर आप उसको दिखा पाए, मैं उसको इतनी खूबसूरती से अपने साथ ही लेके इतने सालों से कैरी कर रहा हूँ, और पता नहीं कब तक कैरी करूँगा. और जब ये जल्दी मुलाकात हो जाए सर, ये उम्मीद है किसी दिन बनाऊँ बैठ के आपसे आप ठीक से.
I wanted not to ask them whether they've had a breakup recently or if they would like to have one. Yeah, there's a sense of responsibility that does come, जो पहले आती थी, but बाद में ना अब क्योंकि मैं अब थोड़ा ज़्यादा देख लिया मैंने दुनिया और 10 साल, तो मुझे लगता है कि ना इतनी भी ज़्यादा सीरियस नहीं लेना चाहिए ज़िंदगी को. तो अगर कोई डिसीजन ले रहा है ना तो उसको ले लेना चाहिए. बहुत ज़्यादा सोचने की भी ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती. But sometimes a logical decision is not as good as an instinctive one. You know, what you do is, you know, when you surrender to yourself for a moment, I think that is what defines your life. And it should always be like that. You should listen to the bigger masters that are somewhere inside you, rather than that little brain that is there on top of your head. But everybody needs to be practical. Everybody needs to know that अभी मुझे भूख लगेगी तो मैं कहाँ से खाना लाऊंगा, कैसे कमाऊंगा. The things that parents say, all of them have to be considered. You can do it your way though. If parents want that seeing the bull's eye, performance or acting or direction is the work that you do. It's not the life that you think they live. You know? So if you're interested in that, if you would do it whether you get paid or not, that's when you should do it. But I would like to point out that these wonderful volunteers, please give them a round of applause.
Is, they say in a certain tradition, ek sama baandh diya. And what Imtiaz did here today, I think, he really created a summer for all of us. His graciousness, his generosity, which is very rare, is something that we appreciate immensely. But I must say simultaneously that you have been a very gracious and a very generous audience. So applause for all of us. Thank you.
If you like this video, do show us some love by hitting the like and subscribe button.